just record. All right. I'll take a minute to wait for people to show up if anybody's coming in. Just take this time to mute yourself. Anybody that's joining in. Okay. All right. I'll just get into it real quick. All right, so thank you for joining in and welcome to the Trend FX analysis. I'm the homie Fletcher, also known as Josh. And we're just gonna get straight into it, right? So this is me just doing my setup for this upcoming week. I haven't done anything on your charts since market closed last week, Friday. So this is just gonna be my whole entire process, right? I haven't set up anything like that. All right, now as you can see, markets just open. So going into it, right? I want to start with fundamentally what we have on the docket coming up for this week. So we can see that we do have some news events, some things that we should pay attention to, especially here starting on Monday. We have ECB speech, right? And you can see this marked as high impact. So this is something that we should get some information out of continuing forward with the euro dollar itself. It's been a sort of a very rough, a gray area for the euro dollar, right? And we'll discuss more on that as we continue going on. We also have inflation, right? This is for Q3, the third quarter of the year. Comparison. We can see that the consensus that we do have from the previous is expected inflation to actually come down a little bit, right? So this also would be sort of impactful for the NCD. I think we should see some sort of impact here. I don't know why it's marked as medium just because, but we should see the markets move with this inflation event that we do have, right, when this data do come out. And we also have Rba Meeting Minutes. And if you're unfamiliar with the term what the meeting minutes is basically where the central bank, right, they release a statement and they come together in discussing about cash rates and cash rate, interest rates, and all these other tools that they do have when it comes to controlling inflation, right? So this is something also that we do have being highly impactful, and we should see some movement from the AD as well, from the Aussie dollar, right? Nothing really for Tuesday. Wednesday, we also have inflation. Again, this is a yearly comparison compared to last year, September, right? So this is just a look at where inflation is now from where it was before. We can see that the consensus is to continue seeing a rise in inflation, right? This is by 0.1%, but this will have an impact on the GBP. We should see a rise in strength on the pound, but given what we did have last week as well, if you take a clear look at the GBP, we could see that we did have some sort of bullish momentum for the pound, right? And this is because we had talks about where the BOE, the Bank of England, came together talking about budgets, having some budget discussions, and also some talks again on taxes to help with the overall economy, the overall UK economy, right? So that is why we did see that sort of bullishness on the pound. We can see this across all the pound pairs. We did have that sharp move to the upside, moving quite a bit, right? And these are the pip movements that just explode when you have news events like this, right? And again, the main header that we are looking at, where everybody is focusing on for next year, right? As we come to a close this year, we're looking towards next year. How are we gonna handle next year as inflation continues to rise? Again, all the central banks around the world, all these economies, they're focusing on curbing that inflation rise, right? Getting a handle on that. And also the fears of recession being something that is also taking a key interest in the eyes of investors and the hedge fund owners and the big bank, the movers of the market, right? So those recession fears would also play a part in the market, and we would see this continuing on as a theme as next year approaches us, right? Especially for the first quarter. So sorry, I was listening to some music. Right, for Wednesday, we also do have CPI for the euro dollar. Again, this highly impactful. And if you don't know what CPI is, Consumer Price Index, it generally gives us a sense of where inflation is as well as what we could expect from the central bank going forward in terms of increasing interest rates and stuff like that. So usually when we do see a higher number than the consensus or the previous, we would see a sharp rise or sharp move to the upside in favor of the euro, right? Or whatever currency we are looking at. So that is something also that have some key importance as well, especially now that we're coming to the close of this year. These are all like the setups for next year, right? So all of this is what we'll take into account. And I believe during November as well, we do have some interest rates to see again from the US. And I think from the European Union. I'm not too sure. I'm not quite sure about it, but I do know that November month we do have some interest rates again, right? And that would be the last set of interest rates for this year. We also have CPI. Again, a comparison compared to last year for the CAD as well as inflation. We're looking at the comparisons, expecting inflation to come down a little bit here in the consensus. So we'll see how that actually impacts the CAD and why I'm not giving like a probability when it comes to the Canadian dollar, just because where we are now and what we're expecting to see later as we continue moving forward, right? So the CAD has been fluctuating like all the other economies, right? We saw a price for the Canadian dollar fluctuate again because it's sort of not really a riskier asset, but in times of like when the economy is doing good and stuff like that, also the CAD is very heavily linked to oil as well. We do see a rise in these key currencies such as the AD, the NZD, and also the Canadian dollar, right? So the CAD has been in a very weird situation, right? At least for me, how I see it, and with the fundamental information that we do have, it's been in a very weird position, right? So I'm not too keen on making any probabilities on what we'll see here with this information here, and given what we have on the charts. But we'll see as the week continues playing on, we would see where this will possibly head into. And just continuing on, we have some AD stuff again, unemployment rate. That is something to also pay attention to. Looks like it will be the same here from the consensus, and also employment change as well, right? So the employment change looks like the consensus would actually be lower, right? So we're expecting lower numbers here, which is negative. And yeah, that's basically it, right? So for the Thursday, we don't really have anything. We have the jobless claims, not too keen on that. And also for Friday, not too much, right? Just retail sales from the GBP and the CAD. So we have a look at general, overall sense of what we could expect to see this week in terms of fundamental impacts on the currency pairs that we would be looking at, right? And the key focus right now is we'll probably get something from the GBP. Again, looking at inflation and CPI for the euro, right? So those would be the sort of fundamental themes I'll be looking for to possibly, get a sort of a return on these currency cross pairs, right? Something with the GBP, something with the euro, if we see any good technical setups, right? So yeah, just heading into it. I've been very religious in terms of trading the AD pairs just because the overall movement, the general sense of the market direction, and again, the clear-cut fundamentals that we do have, weaker AD, stronger everything else in comparison, right? So we have a very clear, clean downtrend. We have an expected move that we could see from the AD cross pairs, which is price continuing moving down. Even though we do have some pullbacks, we could say that, all right, As price comes into this area, possibly gonna continue going down. If we see price retest back up into this area or close to this area, probably gonna continue moving down. Again, same thing, right? We don't have any reason fundamentally to see price push past this area that is created, right? Which is why these two points of interest was, the best to possibly take sells and the best like A grade setup, so to speak, right? So continuing on, moving forward, I'll just remove this. We have some AD news. We know that. We know that the AD overall, the general market direction is heading downwards, right? We're in this sort of situation here on the daily, and this is just how I go about marking up my trades, right? If anybody have any questions, feel free to stop me at any time and voice your opinions. If you have any if you're not clear on something, then also feel free to just voice it, right? So yeah, continuing. So overall, the general sense of this market is a continuing kind of bearish sort of sentiment that we are seeing. Now we do have some AD news, we have some CAD stuff as well, right? The first set of AD news that we do have is that meeting minutes, where they just come discuss, well, what we're gonna do in going forward in terms of inflation, the cash rates, and all of that, increasing interest rates and whatnot, right? So they will release a dot basically showing all the things, the key points of what is discussed, what they're looking for, and all of that stuff, right? And that may have an effect on the market and on the AD dollar, right? So we have that first set of key information coming out, right? So going into this, on the technical side, which part we are right now on the charts is in a sort of support, right? So this is the low price has made thus far over the past few days, right? Looking at the recent times, price came into here once on this daily, rejected that area, and you can see we formed this daily range, right? So when price pushed past here, we rejected from here on this day, reject here, we came back here, rejected from that same general area also, right? And then we push back into this support level. So that is what we have on the daily, right? We're clear on that. Looking at a 4-hour, what are the expectancies, right? So right now, we could probably have a move to the upside here on the $80, right? The 80 card, sorry, right? We could probably see a move to the upside, a swing back to the upside right here. And price could continue ranging in this sort of situation until we have some sort of impactful news or some sort of catalyst to either push price upwards or make it continue going downwards, right? Now, overall, we established already that we're in a very clear, very strong downtrend. So even if price comes back into this area, you still be looking for sells, right? The possibility of seeing sells continuing is it have a higher probability of that happening. So that would be something I would be more keen on, even if we push back into this area. Looking on the 1 hour, right? We have two possible plays. Either price pushes back all the way up here, or maybe it might range somewhere in the middle. So we might either come up here, or even somewhere right here, right? A reason why I chose this as an area to possibly look for or look at is because one, we had some sort of catalyst here, price pushed down, but then we had a push back up, right? And seeing how this candle started and the wick, we could see that firstly, it did form a bearish candle, right? And then price pushed back up this area, right? So from right around this bottom here, right around here, right? Price was bearish, then pushed up. That's why we formed this green candle instead of this being a red bear candle. Price came to the close right here. And then this bearish candle formed down, right? We pushed up and then we pushed back down, right? So this would be an area of some sort of importance because we had a catalyst here, price pushed, wasn't able to continue that push down, but then on this candle close, we saw that continuation movement downwards, right? So we may have buyers or sellers waiting right around this area to continue seeing price drive down, right? And that is just part of market psychology, market expectancies, right? how other traders would trade, how they would look at this market as well, right? Not just other traders, but you're looking at the movers of the market, right? So that is something that you should take note of, or at least something I would take note of. So continuing on, right? And if this is too much information, this is being recorded, so you could always go back and look at this, to digest the information a little bit more smoother if you're not taking everything in one time, right? If it's like going too fast. But continuing on, either we see price push up, still looking for sells, or we may see a continuation to the downside, right? And if we do get a continuation moving down, something I'll take attention to is seeing the price push past this wick rejection, right? Because this here is that support zone that we're looking at overall, right? So this right here is that support zone that we want to see price push past to say, okay, sellers really controlling this market right now. We have more selling pressure than buying. So once we push past that area, the selling should continue down, right? For at least that we will get a good return on that sell, rather than, maybe we just wick down, then we wick back up, and then price stops us out or something like that. So you want to see a clear push past this area and a continuation to just say, okay, maybe we might enter this trade early for a sell possibility, right? So that's what we want to see first, price push past this area. But for now, market's just open, spreads wide. Wait until our next hour passes to see where we're really going to go with this, right? But most likely, I think that price may just reject from this area and continue upwards here. And then we'll start seeing some selling as we have those other catalysts come out to really make price move. All right, so ADCHF, I haven't really been trading ADCHF like that, so I won't pay too much attention to this right now, right? Again, what we're looking at, key focuses right now, the US dollar being the world's reserve currency, has a lot of impact on all these other currency cross pairs, right? The CHF being one of those currencies that does well in a time when the US economy is kind of shaky, or when overall things not looking that good, right? We have safe haven pairs or safe haven currencies such as the yen, also the CHF, and also gold being one of those sort of commodities that does well when the US economy is a little shaky, or overall when things aren't looking that, optimal, right? And that is because these economies have very stable rates, right? So to speak, that they don't have much change or much impact, impactful news events or anything to cause any big rattle in terms of like the strength of the currency itself, right? So that is the CHF, the Swiss franc, as well as the JPY, Japanese yen. Those are the more like very solitaire, very central, neutral sort of economies, right? So that is why these sort of movements that we do see in times of when we have economic uncertainty, we see a lot of strength in those currencies. But because overall we are facing, after COVID and all of that, every economy is basically struggling with the same sort of recession fears, high inflation and stuff, right? So in terms of the ADCHF, I won't really trade this particular pair, this particular CHF cross pair, really, just because even though it's going down, it's hard to predict, like, the best possible entry point. Just because, okay, if we're taking a look at here, we could say maybe if price pushes past down here, we could get continuation moving on. But at the same point in time, right? Let's say we were looking like, let's say we were trading somewhere here, right? So ignore everything. Let's say we were trading somewhere here. We saw that price rejected from this top, it pushed down, and well, this candle would have formed a bearish candle first. We were possibly looking for a sell opportunity there, but then we saw price continuing pushing up, right? We saw some 80 strength coming, price pushed up, and then now we're seeing that price coming back down into that zone, right? So I just say, and like my personal, how I trade, this just doesn't give the clearest possibility for me to actually make something out of this. So I'm not too particularly clean on the ADCHF, right? Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. 80 JPY. Overall, I think we could get I think we could see a continuation of price moving downwards, right? If we're looking at the daily, what we had happening here, we came into this zone, right? We came into this zone where price rejected multiple times off of this support level, right? We saw that price kind of came down within that support area, right? But then we started forming this bullish day. We had this bullish day here, and another point where price rejected from this zone entirely, right, on that day. And now we're back in to sort of like the starting of the support, right? We're basically we're on the flooring of that support. So we could possibly see price continue moving upwards, right? Or we could have a break of that support level and price continue moving downwards. Now, in terms of why or when we could possibly see that, not clear, because we don't really have a catalyst to see that move happening, right? We don't have, a clear suggestion, something that shows us that, okay, we could possibly see price continuing to the downside here, just given the fact that we have, less very uncertain economic situation right now, right? Which usually bolsters the yen strength. However, the Japanese economy is basically facing the same hardship, right? So that doesn't really account for a possibility to see price continue moving downwards. Again, we have the Rba meeting minutes, right? So this could either push price up, be good for the AD, or be bad, and we could possibly see price just push past this area. Now, if that happens, then we could see a continuation move to the downside or the upside, depending on what comes out here and on these minutes, right? But for now, I would say this not really much of a trading opportunity here. Right, and guys, this all of this is right. It's just the starting of the week, right? So as the week continue, as things progress, we could have a lot of changes just in a few hours, right? So all of this is just setting up for the possibilities that we could see happening, but don't narrow your mind into thinking that, all right, that is all that could happen. Just looking for selves, right? Something could come out that may turn everything to being a stronger AD, right? Which may have to you have to be able to switch gears in situations like that, because maybe now you'll have to start looking for buys, right? And you'll have to justify those buys as well. So that's why I think fundamentals are really, really key in trading or understanding market movements on a general, right? You can look at the technicals, but the technicals won't tell you the reason why price moved the way it did, right? Like, for example, such as this right here, right? Where we had this bearish candle pushing all the way down from here during this period, right? Which was the Friday, this was Friday, right? So, and this was a trade that we took in the VIP. And honestly, if you were just a technical trader, I don't think you would have, thought that this would have played out the way that it did from a technical aspect, because it doesn't give you any real clear or any real indication that this was a possibility to see price continue moving in like this sort of movement, right? So that's why I really think fundamentals are really the foundation of any trading strategy that you build yourself on, besides just the technical aspects. So I'm just remove the drawings on this. AUD overall, same thing, very strong downtrend. US dollar being multi-rocketing sort of currency right now, just because we have a very, very hawkish Fed, and also the turns that we have been seeing made by the Federal Reserve as well, right? The AUD, the Aussie dollar, has been sort of lagging behind in terms of fundamental. If we compare or we draw a comparison between the fundamentals between the two currencies here on this growth pair, right? So that's why we see such a strong, very not drastic, but of such a very clear bearish market, right? Because we have that difference in fundamental fundamental data for the two currencies. So this is the area of support that we can see here, right? So we saw that price bounce from this area multiple times. Then at this point, we did start ranging right here into this area. If we look on the 1 hour, you can see this range a little better. Right, price started range here, then we start forming downwards. Then we had a break of this support here, and then we saw that continuation moving downwards here, right? So we saw price continuing with that downward strength. At that point, we're looking at other areas of support resistance, simple stuff in terms of applying like technicalities to it. So this is another area of importance right here. As price continued with that downward movement, we saw this strong bullish candle come into this area, but then we saw that failure of continuation, right? We saw that momentum die down of whatever caused that bullish movement right here. And then price actually corrected that movement, right? And that's shown by this candle here, this bearish candle right here. Right, so we saw a correction of this initial bullish move to the upside. Price swung back. This is why we chose this area as an area of support rather than waiting to see if price would have hold and actually come all the way back up here, right? So that's why I drew this as a support level, just because we saw that correction move back to the downside, showing that there's like literally nobody really buying this market right now, except for the retail traders, right? And I wish I could show you like what the retail traders are doing right now, because usually when the retail traders are doing something, which is the average person like you, myself, and anybody that's not working for a big company, right? Or has 2 million or a plethora of money, right? To move the markets, to make any real movement in the markets, right? We're just the little guys. When the retail traders are doing something in the majority, such as either they're looking to swing to the upside or they're looking to hold selling, they're usually like at least 85% of the time wrong, right? Because they don't actually have any control on the market movement or where we could possibly see price move, right? Because they don't have enough money, they don't have enough liquidity, they don't make a difference in the market, right? We're just here for the ride, basically. And that's one of the key and like one of the fun things about trading when you think about it. You could apply the fundamentals, you could apply the technicals as well, but you need to understand that the market doesn't have to do necessarily what you want it to do, right? Because you don't have any real control over, you have no control over the market. The only control that you have in this thing that we call Forex is how much money you're willing to put to risk on any trade that you do take and the frequency of trades that you do take. Those are the only things you have control over when it comes to Forex. Everything else, you need to be logical in terms of your thinking, you need to be critical as well, and you need to be in control of your own emotions, right? Those are the things that you have control over. In terms of market movement, that's all the big hedge fund owners and stuff like that, right? The banks that we constantly say are out to get us when we're trading, when we're getting quote unquote stop hunted, right? So yeah, just some like, you know, some information, valuable information for you guys, right? So retail traders probably are the ones looking to swing this to the upside. But if you look at a comparison between the retail and the actual hedge fund owners, big banks and stuff like that, the long-term key figures in any trade environment that you are looking at, they're the ones that are looking to short this, right? And for good reasons, because overall, we are in a downtrend. We do have a more hawkish US dollar, a more hawkish Fed, all promoting a very stronger USD. There's no reason to try and buy this. So when price made this rejection right here, then we saw this correction right here, again, of that bullish move to the upside. That is why we could take this as a support level. So when price came back into that level again, even though we did have this bullish close right here, right, we waited, we saw that price range in that zone still, not having enough momentum to kick it back to the upside, to push past this area. And then on this candle, when this candle formed, this was a this was a bearish candle formation right here, and price pushed down even more. So at that point, we got into the trade and we got that sell. Now, looking for this week, this is a support area, right? We see these multiple rejections from this area right here, which is why we choose this as support. Now, price again could range here just because we now starting the week. Price could range in this area, right? This could be a range. We could possibly see price come back to the upside here. But again, I'm not looking to buy anything in this market. We could take a buy at the support level and possibly see price come up. That is a possibility. But overall, long term, the key thing that I will be more focused on is looking for sells, right? So again, if price comes back into this area, looking for sells, looking to sell that range. If price pushes past this area and we get a bearish close, we'll also look for a possibility to enter to continue with this bearish market, right? And those are the key focuses right now. In terms of, we only have 8 minutes left. All right. In terms of any other trade I am looking at, I'll possibly be looking at the GBP, right? GBP associated pairs, such as this, for example, GBPAD. I'm looking to sell this right now, right? Just because we did have that bullish move to the upside, and this was one of the more like a lot of pip movement in just a couple of hours, right? Which is uncanny, right? It's not a trait of any of the markets, like from previous, right? This is all because we have all those influx of news and all these other themes playing in the market right now, right? And this is something that we've seen a lot of instances when news may come on, maybe in the spur of a moment, or we just have some news event that just comes out and we see price just fluctuate, either a strong move to the upside or a bearish pull to the downside, right? So I am looking to sell this as the spreads count, because why we did have this bullish move to the upside. I can see price did come back down a little bit, but then continued with that momentum to the upside, swinging back up again, right? Looking into this week at the starting right now, I am expecting to see more of a bearish tone as things kind of calm down on the starting of this new week, right? So in terms of, okay, how many traders are in this right now? How many, usually a lot of the banks and stuff close trades, won't hold over the weekend or anything like that, right? Again, they're not retail traders, we are. So a lot of that momentum, that bullish, that hawkish momentum will die down, and we could possibly see a swing back to the downside, right? Possibly back into the support level. So this is something that I think has a lot of potentiality to actually play out. So this may be my first trade entering for the week. And depending on how this plays, I might not take another trade for the week. Again, we don't need to take every single trade. We just need to make a decent profit percentage return each month and for the year, and just be grossly in profit, right? And just some key information for you guys, right? All these large hedge fund owners, big banks, and a lot of them, their percentage return yearly is usually very small, right? Only the retail trader, people like us, are the ones that think we need to make it big. We need to make a lot of money every month, each week, or something like that, right? And that's not a good mindset to have when you want to do something like trading. You need to treat it as a business, right? And you need to treat it as a career as well. And yes, it gives you freedom, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you could be sort of whimsical with it, right? So you need to have discipline still. You need to have, a set goal, a strategy, and you focus and like stick to that, right? So just like where your mindset should be as a trader. Only the retail traders that think about making large gains in the shortest possible time, and which is why a lot of traders, 90% of them, fail, right? Or they give up and stuff like that, because that's what they're here for. They want quick returns, they want money, they want Lambos, they want the luxurious lifestyle and stuff like that. And those things would come, but in the meantime, you need to be humble and you need to just take things a little slow and have patience with yourself as well, right? So yeah, coming back to the charts, this possible play to the downside. I really think this could happen, especially given that we had that bullishness, that spur of bullishness because of those talks of the budget talk during from the POE, right? So we had that, and also the talk on the taxes, right? Um, yeah, so a lot of these, I'm expecting price to be a little bit bearish coming to the downside. This as well, JPY. Again, like I said, yen, like all the other currencies, is in the same sort of situation, right? Recession fears, all of this, which is why the yen isn't really, have that safe haven sort of strength that you would see, like why price would go down in the yen's favor because of those economic uncertainties, right? But that's something that globally everybody's facing. But because we do have that shift in momentum being a possibility, I think a yen short, a JPY short would be something actually, plausible to possibly see as well. So this a yen sell is something I look forward to as well. I would take a trade like just like this, to be honest, risking 2% and have my stop loss somewhere like right above this area right here, like right up here. So this would be something that I would get into. I'll put my stop loss somewhere right here above this candle and look for that play to continue moving downwards, right? And into the London session of Monday. So this is something that I'm gonna get into. Whether it plays out or not, up to the markets, but in terms of my fundamental and technical analysis, I do see this being an actual trade that has potential to actually play out. And that's it. I'm not looking at any of these other currency pairs, right? Just because we now start for the week. And it's one thing to, have your probabilities, drop your charts and stuff like that for possible things to, see play out. But you need to understand that anything could happen, changes could be made, news could come out that may impact the markets differently, right? And especially now that we are relying more on the news in terms to get movements out of the market, especially with my type of trading strategy that I use. I'm not going to, make a probability on all these other pairs that you do see me trading and look at, right? Just because we or I simply rely on news with a lot of my trading for now, just because I'm not a scalper. I don't do like for the quick movements or anything like that, right? So I'm sticking to what I know and what I know best, which is fundamental and the technical setups that I do use. So that's it. So you guys see what I'm looking at. You guys see what I'm looking for. As the week continues, we'll see what else comes along, what other plays, what other possibilities we could get as well. Monday evening, I'm also going to have another Zoom call where we look at what happened thus far from now and then, and also what other possibilities we might see appear by then as well, right? And Wednesday, we have the live sessions on the TrendFX YouTube channel as well from 9 to 11. So you can feel free to join that. Subscribe to the channel so you'll be updated with posts when I post and also when I'm going to go live as well. All right. So hopefully everybody got some information out of that. If you have any questions, feel free to message me either on Discord, if you have my number, stuff like that. Don't bite. I'm here to help. And yeah, I just want to see everybody win, everybody get this down, and everybody just prosper from trading the markets because it's so easy. It's so doable. You just need to have some discipline, have some time, take some time for yourself, have some patience with yourself as well, and with the markets as well, right? Not every play would happen. Not every trade will work out how you want it to. But if you just be disciplined and you focus on what you know and what you can do, and you just have that routine for yourself, then you would see, you'll see the prospects of that, right? So that's it. See you as the week continue on, and I hope everybody does have a great trading week, right? So that's it for this, guys. Thank you for coming.